The Philippines is a country with a rich and diverse cultural heritage, shaped by centuries of trade and migration, as well as colonization and independence. One of the lesser-known but significant influences on Philippine culture is India, which has left its mark in various domains from language and religion to art and architecture. Welcome to Nipa Tales History Series, and thank you for joining me as we explore the fascinating and often surprising connections between India and the Philippine Islands, a cultural odyssey. While the Philippines is geographically distant from India, it is interesting to note that India had a significant impact on the country's history and culture. From the 1st century onwards, India had extensive trade and cultural contacts with Southeast Asia, including the Philippines. Trade played a significant role in the early connections between India and the Philippines. The Philippines was one of the many countries that participated in the Indian Ocean Trade Network, which connected the Indian kingdoms with Southeast Asia, East Africa, and the Middle East. The trade network facilitated the exchange of goods such as spices, textiles, precious stones, and metals, which brought wealth and prosperity to the participating countries. It's believed that Indian culture started influencing the Philippines as early as the 7th century CE. The early connections were mainly through trade between Indian kingdoms and Southeast Asia. One of the Indian kingdoms that played a crucial role in the trade network was the Srivijaya Empire. According to historical records, the Srivijaya Empire was a maritime empire that existed from the 7th to the 13th century CE and based on the island of Sumatra in present-day Indonesia. It controlled the Strait of Malacca, which was the main shipping route between China and India. With their vast knowledge of the sea, the Srivijaya Empire was able to establish trade routes with neighboring countries, including the Philippines. The Srivijaya Empire's influence on the Philippines was mainly through trade. They traded goods such as silk, spices, and gold with the Philippine kingdoms. In exchange, they received goods such as rice, wax, and honey. Another Indian kingdom that had an impact on the early connections between India and the Philippines was the Chola Empire, a Tamil empire that ruled parts of present-day India from the 9th to the 13th century CE. The Chola Empire had a vast navy that allowed them to establish trade routes with Southeast Asia. Historical records suggest that the Chola Empire had trade links with the Philippine kingdoms during the 11th and 12th centuries. One of the main commodities that the Cholas traded with the Philippines was textiles, particularly cotton and silk fabrics. The Cholas were known for their expertise in weaving and dyeing textiles, and their fabrics were highly prized in Southeast Asia. In return for textiles, the Cholas received a variety of goods from the Philippines, including pearls, tortoiseshells, gold, and exotic fruits and spices. The Indian Ocean Trade Network connected the Indian kingdoms with Southeast Asia, including the Philippines, and facilitated the exchange of goods, ideas, culture, and technology. The exchange of goods and ideas through trade created a mutual influence between India and the Philippines, which laid the foundation for the later cultural and linguistic connections between the two regions. One of the most significant impacts of Indian culture on the Philippines was the introduction of Sanskrit, which is an ancient Indian language. Sanskrit was used as the lingua franca in Southeast Asia, including the Philippines. It was used by traders, scholars, and priests, and was also the language used in inscriptions. The use of Sanskrit paved the way for the development of a writing system that was used to record important events, laws, and traditions. This writing system was called the Kawi script, which was derived from the Pallava script of southern India. It was used across much of maritime Southeast Asia between the 8th and 16th century. A significant example of Sanskrit's influence on the Philippine language and writing system can be seen in the Laguna copperplate inscription, which was written in Kawi and includes a number of Sanskrit words. The Laguna copperplate inscription was a legal document written in Old Malay that was discovered in the Philippines in 1989. The inscription, which dates back to 900 CE, records a debt payment made by a local chieftain to a person named Namwaran, who is believed to have been a Tamil trader from the Chola Empire. Sanskrit and the Kawi script were also seen in the Boxer Codex, an illustrated manuscript that dates back to the 16th century and contains information about the customs and beliefs of the Filipino people as well as neighboring cultures. The manuscript was written in Spanish, but many of the words and phrases in the illustrations are in Tagalog, written in the Kawi script, demonstrating its continued use. In addition to the Kawi script, some historians believe that Sanskrit may have also influenced the development of other Philippine scripts, or suyat, such as the Baybayin script. It's believed that the Baybayin was derived from the Kawi script and was used to write ancient Tagalog, as well as other Philippine languages such as Ilocano and Visayan. In fact, many of the words in various Filipino languages have roots in Sanskrit, including the words related to religion, trade, and culture. The impact of Sanskrit on the Philippine language and writing system is undeniable, from the Kawi script to the development of various Filipino scripts or suyats. Sanskrit has left a lasting imprint on Philippine culture and is a testament to the far-reaching impact of Indian culture on Southeast Asia. Another significant influence of Indian culture on the Philippines was religion. The Indianized states of Southeast Asia, including the Philippines, were predominantly Hindu and Buddhist. The arrival of Indian religions on the Philippines had a significant impact on the beliefs and practices of the native people. The Indianization of the Philippines started with the introduction of Hinduism, which was later followed by Buddhism. It was during the 9th century when Buddhism, particularly the Vajrayana or Tantric Buddhism, was introduced to the Philippines by the Indonesian Srivijaya Empire. One of the most significant impacts of Indian religions on the Philippines was the adaptation of local beliefs and practices. The animistic beliefs of the native people were integrated with the concepts of Hinduism and Buddhism, resulting in the formation of a unique Philippine religion. For example, the ancient Tagalogs believed in diwatas, or deities, and one notable diwata was the supreme deity called Bathala. Some scholars believe that the name Bathala may have originated from the Sanskrit word Batara, meaning Lord of Lords. Another Indian religion to have penetrated the Philippine archipelago was the Lingam Yoni worship of Hinduism. It was introduced to the Philippines by Indian traders and Brahmins during the ancient period of Indianization. It is thought that these beliefs were practiced throughout the Philippines and were later adapted and incorporated into the indigenous Filipino religion, which later developed into the Anito worship. Anito worship, an indigenous religion practiced in the pre-colonial Philippines, is characterized by the veneration of ancestral spirits and deities and involves rituals related to fertility, agriculture, and hunting. Despite the introduction of other religions, Anito worship still endures in some areas of the Philippines. The continued practice of Anito worship and the incorporation of Indian religions and symbology into ancient Filipino society reflect the cultural exchange that occurred between India and the Philippines during the early centuries of the Common Era. This cultural exchange not only enriched Philippine religion, but also contributed to the country's unique cultural identity. The influence of Indian culture in the Philippines extended beyond religion and language to social customs and traditions. The caste system, which is a social hierarchy based on occupation and family background, was introduced to the Philippines through Indian traders and Brahmins. The early Filipinos, however, did not adapt to the caste system in the same way as in India. Instead, they developed their own social hierarchy based on wealth and status, which was called the Datu system. The Datu system was characterized by the presence of powerful chieftains or datus who were responsible for maintaining peace and order within their territories or barangays. These datus were expected to be generous and hospitable to their people and to distribute wealth and resources fairly. The formation of Rajanates played a significant role in the development of the Datu system. The Rajanates were independent and self-governing territories ruled by a Raja or Raja, who was considered the highest-ranking Datu in the region. The early Rajas of the Philippines were believed to have come from various ethnic groups, including the Malays, the Chinese, and the Indians. Some of the most notable Rajas in Philippine history include Raja Humabon of Cebu, Raja Suleiman of Manila, and Raja Baginda of Sulu. Indian influence on the art and architecture of the Philippines can be traced back to the pre-colonial period. One of the most significant examples of Indian influence on Philippine art is the golden image of Agusan, which is believed to be a representation of an Indian deity. According to some scholars, the image is believed to date back to the 10th century CE and was discovered in 1917 in Agusan del Sur, Mindanao. The image is made of 21-karat gold and weighs 4.2 kilograms. Its intricate design and features are reminiscent of Indian art styles, particularly those of the Gupta period. In addition, the traditional dance form Singkil, which originated in the southern Philippines, is believed to have been influenced by the Indian epic Ramayana, with its depiction of a princess overcoming obstacles to be reunited with her prince. Similarly, Indian musical traditions have left their mark on the Philippines, with the kulintang, a set of gongs played in a rhythmic and melodic pattern, being just one example. In literature, Filipino epics such as Biyag ni Lamang and Hinilawod share similarities with Indian epics like the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, featuring heroes with supernatural powers, mythical creatures, and gods and goddesses who shape the fate of humans. Indian-style architecture also played a significant role in shaping the country's architecture, particularly in the construction of religious structures. Although not located in the Philippines, the Candi of Indonesia is an excellent example of Indian architectural influence in Southeast Asia. Candi is a term used to refer to temple-like structures built during the 8th and 9th centuries. These structures were built in Indonesia by the Sailendra dynasty, which was heavily influenced by Indian culture. The Candi structures bear a striking resemblance to Indian temple architecture, particularly the Prambanan and Borobudur temples in Java. The influence in architecture continued well after the arrival of Spanish colonizers. Spanish colonial architecture in the Philippines was heavily influenced by Indian and Islamic styles. One example of this influence is the use of latticed wooden screens or ventanillas in Spanish colonial architecture, which is similar to the jali or latticed screens used in Indian architecture. The rich history of Indian influence on Philippine culture is a testament to the enduring connections between different cultures, and serves as a reminder of the importance of cultural exchange and understanding. There are numerous more examples of how early Indians helped shape the history and culture of Southeast Asia, but that's all that we have for today. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the fascinating influence of Indian culture on the Philippines. As we've learned, trade, language, writing systems, religion, and the arts were all significant areas where India left an indelible mark on the Philippines. From the early connections between the Indian kingdoms and the Srivijaya Empire, to the Chola Empire's trade links with Southeast Asia, India's presence in the region was palpable. The introduction of Sanskrit as the lingua franca in ancient Southeast Asia, including the Philippines, led to the development of the Kawi and the Baybayin script. Indian religions such as Hinduism and Buddhism also played a significant role in shaping Philippine beliefs and practices. Today, the influence of Indian culture can still be seen in many aspects of Philippine culture, highlighting the long-lasting impact of India on Southeast Asia. If you enjoyed the video, please consider dropping a like. It would really help us out. While you're at it, subscribe and join us next time for another episode of Nipa Tales History Series, where we continue to explore the rich and diverse culture of the Philippines. Thanks, everyone.